Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with a new topic, that is pulmonary edema. So as usual, first try to understand the term pulmonary edema. What do we understand by the term edema? Edema is the excess fluid in the body tissue. But according to this definition, you can also say me that if there is a blood vessel and there is presence of excessive fluid inside the vessel, will it be edema? No, this won't be edema. Therefore, with this definition, we add a specificity, that is extravascular. Only the excess fluid in the body tissue which is extravascular will be known as edema. In case of pulmonary edema, it is the presence of excess fluid in the body tissue, and that body tissue refers to the alveoli of the lungs. So the main two types of pulmonary edema can be divided into, there are two types. First one is the cardiogenic causes and non-cardiogenic. We will start our discussion with first, that is cardiogenic. From the term cardiogenic, it is very understandable, it is due to the heart. So here I will try to draw a diagram which I am very bad at, so please excuse me. I will try to make it understandable. Okay, this is our alveoli. Then here comes the right atrium. Here comes the right ventricle. This is the pulmonary artery. Then here comes the left atrium. Then the left ventricle. I will write the names to make it easier. Right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. This is the aorta, this is the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary artery will lead to the lungs. That is in here, this is the pulmonary capillaries, and these pulmonary capillaries will go, and this become the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. Okay, this was the diagram. That this is in the general condition. What happens when there is a pathology? So if we find there is left ventricular failure, what will happen? The blood from the left ventricular failure, this left ventricular will not be able to pump the blood to the aorta. So there is no pumping of blood to the aorta, due to which there will be increase of pressure in the left atrium, left ventricle. Then there will increase of pressure in the left atrium. Then there will be increase of pressure in the pulmonary vein, and which will lead to the increase in the pressure in the pulmonary capillaries. The hydrostatic pressure in the pulmonary capillaries will increase, due to which, because of this increase, the fluid will move towards this into first, it will go into the interstitial space, then slowly it will move towards the alveoles, due to which the alveoli will get filled with fluid, and this excess fluid in the alveoli will be termed as pulmonary edema. So this is due to the left ventricular failure. Now when it comes, we should remember two important things. This is very important to remember, that is, first point is low pressure system. The pulmonary circulation is not same as the systemic circulation. It is different. And how is it different? It has low pressure system. Now if we draw a diagram again these are the alveoles. Okay, so here what happens is the hydrostatic pressure here is 12 millimeter mercury, but the oncotic pressure is 28 millimeter mercury. So according to this, there should not be any filtration because the hydrostatic pressure is lower or the oncotic pressure is more than the hydrostatic pressure. But there will be filtration. There will be presence of filtration. Why? Because there is another second important point, that is increase of interstitial protein. Now what will happen is, due to the increase in the interstitial protein, the oncotic pressure here will also increase. Due to the increase in the interstitial protein, it will lead to 19 millimeter mercury. In addition to this point, there will be from the alveoli also the fluids will flow, making the alveoli dry. So the fluids will come to here in the interstitial space, which will lead to the increase of the interstitial oncotic pressure, which will again be 19 millimeter mercury, which is more than the hydrostatic pressure. So because of this, there will be filtration. So you can also say not only because of left ventricular failure, there can also be right ventricular failure. Of course there can be right ventricular failure, but it is not as common as left ventricular failure. It is very rare as compared to left one. Left ventricular failure is there, then what happens, the pressure inside the left ventricle will increase, but here it will again, there won't be, it will go to the systemic circulation. The pressure will increase, and again the increase of pressure will be in the systemic circulation, which will lead to another kind of edema, that is peripheral edema. So together, the right ventricular failure and left ventricular failure together leads to congestive heart failure. This was all about the cardiogenic mechanism of pulmonary edema. Then let's go to the diagnosis. The diagnosis of the pulmonary edema can be done with the pulmonary wedge pressure. Pulmonary wedge pressure. And for this, a device is used, a catheter that is named as Swan-Ganz catheter. How does this this catheter is usually into a peripheral vein, which may be like a jugular vein or femoral vein, into a peripheral vein. Then from the peripheral vein, it is advanced. It again goes to the right atrium. Then from right atrium to the right ventricle to the from the right ventricle it goes to the pulmonary artery. In pulmonary artery, the catheter goes and the balloon inflates or deflates. According to that, the wedge pressure is measured. The normal wedge pressure is 18 to 12 millimeter mercury. What are the symptoms that we find? The symptoms can be it's mainly orthopnea. What is orthopnea? That is the breathlessness. But orthopnea can also be called as dyspnea when it is in supine position. Because in supine position there is addition of pressure to the lungs, therefore these are the symptoms of the pulmonary edema. Next comes, what is the treatment? Treatment of pulmonary edema are simply diuretics. So we discussed about the mechanism of cardiogenic pulmonary edema, its diagnosis, its symptoms, and the treatment. Now let's go to the non-cardiogenic. Non-cardiogenic, it is mainly the injury of alveolar epithelium or the capillary endothelium. The causes are divided into two. Causes of non-cardiogenic are divided into exogenous and endogenous. Exogenous. In exogenous, the injury directly takes place in the alveoli. Therefore, this is the alveoli. Since the injury directly takes place in the alveoli, there is leakage of both, that is the interstitial fluid plus protein. This will move towards the alveoli. So the alveoli will be full with fluid, that is it will wet. And this condition will lead to pulmonary edema as there is excessive fluid in the alveoli of the lung. The reasons of this may be due to trauma or due to breathing of some toxic substances or noxious substances, aspiration. That's all. These were the reasons of exogenous. And here, and due to the stoppage of the blood flow because of accumulation of too much fluid, this condition will be called as pulmonary shunt. Now let's go to the endogenous part. In endogenous part, what happens is these are again alveoli. Okay. The endogenous part are mainly because of two things, that is pneumonia and sepsis. In sepsis, what happens is, I will describe the condition of sepsis here. What will happen is, as the sepsis will directly affect the alveolar capillaries, so due to which the neutrophils will be coming out, and these neutrophils will damage the alveolar membrane. The alveolar membranes are damaged, and again due to this the interstitial fluid and the proteins, these will get into the alveoli, so it will again lead to the excess of fluid in the alveoli of the lungs, which will lead to pulmonary edema. Then let's discuss about symptoms. The symptoms of non-cardiogenic is again dyspnea and pulmonary infiltration. Pulmonary infiltration, which will lead to respiratory failure. The diagnosis is again the same, that is, we can use the diagnosis method as diagnosis, that is the pulmonary wedge pressure, but here the pulmonary wedge pressure is normal. What is the normal? Normal is 12 to 18 millimeter mercury or low. So this were the diagnosis, symptoms and mechanism of the non-cardiogenic. I hope you understood both the cardiogenic and non-cardiogenic part and the whole pulmonary. Thank you.